So today I'm doing an end of the bed Q&A because that's like the height of YouTube, right? I don't know. I don't even know what YouTube is anymore. Before I get into my Q's, or I should say answer my Q's, yeah, because words. I wanted to do a few, I guess, announcements. I have a Patreon. I don't know if I have not been advertising that enough lately, but I just wanted to remind everybody I have a Patreon. I will link to it here and now, or possibly here and now, and also at the end of my video. Most of that money goes to my editor when I can pay somebody to edit my videos, because I don't do as good of a job as my editor does. My editor is Hallie Fleming from the channel Hallie Isn't British, and she does fantastic work, and I would like to be able to pay her for her work. I don't quite make enough to pay her, so that money comes from my Patreon. And also Fandom Matters, Amanda Finlaw does my social media when I can afford to pay her to do my social media. So my Patreon goes to paying those two lovely women, and not goes to me at all. I know what I don't do well, and they do it much better than me. If you want to support them, you should go to my Patreon and sign up. I'm going to take a break from my Take a Minute videos because I'm not making money doing this. And if I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, I'm not going to do it anymore until I start making money doing this. I'm not into the Take a Minute series. Not that I don't like it, not that I'm stopping it altogether, but I'm not enjoying what goes into having to make those videos right now. So I think for the time being, I'm going to take a break doing those videos until I feel like I want to do them again. And then that series will come back because I definitely see the value in that, and I definitely want to keep doing it. I just don't right now, and since I'm not getting paid to do this, I don't want to do things I don't want to do. That being said, my final announcement before I jump into my questions is I'm going to attempt Vlogust. I've been going back and looking at some of my old stuff and realizing how much I used to get engagement from my viewers and how much I loved getting that engagement. And a lot of that happened over my Vlogust last year, where I did 2-minute videos and I would ask my audience a question. And that was so much fun, and I really enjoyed doing that, and I want to get back into really loving what I do here on YouTube. So I'm going to do that, or I'm going to try to do that. I am going to now answer some questions. So, first question comes from my dear friend Catherine Liu. If you had to erase one song from history/existence, what would it be? What a strange question for somebody who loves music so much. If I had to erase one song from history or existence, gosh. I mean, one song that comes to mind, and this is going to sound super unpatriotic, but I'm proud to be an American, just because I feel like that song itself is kind of mediocre. I'm not a patriotic person. I do appreciate that I live in this country, but like the song itself, it doesn't go anywhere. It feels like it was written as a class assignment, and I'm gonna get so much hate for this, I feel, but like, I just don't think it's a very good song. Of all of the songs that I can think of, that's the one that I'm just like, you know, we could probably do without that song. I mean, we have the Star Spangled Banner, right? So I'm not erasing all of the patriotic history of this country. Just that one. Yeah, I'm going with it. Matt, Palka. Hi, Matt. If I had 3 magic coins to take me to any place in time and anywhere in past history, even if it was just to witness something happen, where would I go and why? So I get to go to 3 places. Okay. All right. So the first place, I'm going to do personal, professional, historical. Personally, I would like to go back to VidCon 2016, because the more that I look back on it, the more that that was the most magical VidCon experience of my life. And I don't think I appreciated it I appreciated it, but I don't think I appreciated it as much as I should have. But that particular year of my life and that particular VidCon was magical. Like, it was truly a magical, amazing experience for so many different reasons. And I would like to go back and experience that again, or at least just watch myself being that happy again. Because that was a great time for me. Professionally, I would like to go back, let's see, how do I say this? The best job that I ever had was working at West Coast Video, but I would also like to kind of go back and tell myself that movies and art are actual jobs that you can actually have. They're actual industries that you can work in. I would like to have myself tell myself that. I don't know if that's breaking the rules of your stipulations here, Matt, but I wish somebody had told me that art and film are actual industries that you can be a part of. As far as history, oh man, I don't know. History is interesting to me, but I'm not a huge, like, oh man, it would have been so cool to see this thing happen. Well, I always go back to Jesus for some reason. I think I would like to have Jesus or the Buddha, because they're kind of the same, two sides of the same coin, if you will. But yeah, I would have liked to have gone back and witnessed their existence, just because from what I know of them, they both seem like pretty cool guys who had pretty good ideas about things. So yeah, I would like to see if that's true. I mean, we know the Buddha exists, but the Jesus thing we're still 50-50 on. So if they exist, and then if they were as cool as we think that they are today. Candice wants me to answer Dax and Fax, i.e. Peter Musser's question. Do I want tattoos? And if so, what would they be and why? So Candice doesn't know that I have a tattoo. It's on the screen right now. And also, there's a lot of meaning to this. I know this is cultural appropriation now, but when I got it, I didn't. Butterflies are sort of my totem animal. And basically, I feel like I've always had a connection to butterflies since I was a little kid, and learning up kind of the significance of butterflies and freedom and independence and what they represent. I've always felt a connection to that sort of freedom and independence in my own life. Blue is my favorite color, and the LLPP is a prayer that my mom says to me: light, love, power, presence. Light of God surround you, love of God enfold you, power of God protect you, presence of God watch over you, wherever you are, God is. So I added that kind of just because I knew my mom didn't like the fact that I was getting a tattoo, even though I was 26 at the time. But I added that to kind of like smooth the blow, I guess. But the other two tattoos that I'm thinking about getting are also very significant. One on screen now is white. I know it looks pink, but I'm also very white, so it has to be pink in order for it to look like anything. White lotus, and the letters around it are actual Elvish that I actually got translated from somebody who actually knows Tengwar Elvish, and had it translated by somebody else who also knows Tengwar. So I'm pretty much like 90% certain that it says what I want it to say, and what it translates to into English is the song Happiness Runs by Donovan. There's one line where he says in Around, because the song is Around, and the circle of the line, you can have everything if you let yourself be, and if you say that in Around, you can have everything if you let yourself be you. So it's there again, being my truest self. And the lotus there again is significant because lotus flowers grow from the dirt and from terrible circumstances into beautiful flowers. So yeah, there's a lot of thought and meaning into the tattoos that I have and want. And the last one on screen now is a peach, because just a peach, because that's me, I'm a peach. And I want to get the lotus on this shoulder and the peach, I think, here in this little webby part of my hand. And I wanted that one to be a little bit smaller. So that's kind of where I am right now. I'm not sure if I want to do any more at this point, but I think 3 is the magic number, so I might stop at that. Lotus, I had the idea, but it was designed by my friend Felix, and they are amazing, and you should follow them here. Troy wants to know, is there any piece of advice that you used to give that you've redefined or changed now? I don't give advice. I give suggestions and I give my experience, but I don't really give advice, because I feel like a lot of times unsolicited advice is the worst thing that you can get, and solicited advice people don't want to hear, because I feel more often than not people know what they need to do, but they just need somebody else agree or disagree with them. So I find listening to people talk about what it is they think that they want or that they need to do in a situation, and saying, that sounds like a good course of action, or, ooh, that may not be the best thing for you right now, is better than giving advice. Now, if somebody's completely lost, I will say, well, in my experience, I found doing this was super helpful. But I don't see that as advice. I have a very tenuous relationship with advice, because I used to give advice and people wouldn't listen to my advice, so I stopped giving advice altogether. Abigail wants to know what my heritage is. A little bit Irish, in case that's not obvious. I am mostly Irish, actually. Mostly of Irish descent, Scottish descent, Eastern European descent, and I thought I had Native American, but it turns out, according to the 23andMe thing that my mom did, there's no Native American. I still don't necessarily agree with that, because if you look at some of my ancestors, they look very much like they're Native Americans. So I don't know, maybe it's just we're too far removed or whatever. And then also a huge part of my family came straight from England, and then also Canada, which would be French Canadian. What is my favorite podcast? I don't have a favorite podcast. I have podcasts that I like that I haven't listened to. I like the Dear Hank and John. I like the Anthropocene is really good. I highly recommend that. There was a podcast that I used to listen to. I cannot remember the name, and I feel terrible about it, but it had to do with music. There's the storytelling podcast that somebody has to let me know what it is, but that one's really good too. I like storytelling and I like music, so anything that has to do with those two things is great, which is why second question Hannah wants to know, will I pick up my music podcast again? Because that was storytelling and music that went hand in hand. It was called My Liner Notes, and it was great, and I loved it so much. But I didn't plan it at all. I really didn't think it through. And I kind of got to a point where I was like, well, I've just told my story, so I guess we're done. I would love to pick it up again, but I have no idea where to go with it right now. But it was great. I would take music that influenced my life and tell my life story and integrate that actual music into the storytelling. And so it was a lot of fun to do, a lot of fun to edit together, and I really enjoyed it. But I also realized that was 2016 too, where I had like way too many projects that I was working on at one time. And I think that one just kind of hit on the back burner way too quickly because of the other things that I was doing at the time, at the same time. I was juggling way too many plates back then. So yes, maybe, hopefully, possibly, I don't know. The thing I like best about being a mom, oh my gosh, there's so many things. Honestly, it's just that like there are two little humans that exist that are running around upstairs right now that like I helped create and I literally brought into this world. And that still blows my mind on a pretty regular basis that that even happened. Let alone how cool they are, like individually and together. Like they're really getting along. They're not, but then they are, but mostly they are, and that's pretty great. And they're both such neat little people, and I've really enjoyed being able to teach them higher concepts like race and gender and social constructs. I don't know how much they understand these things, but it's been cool kind of teaching them, you know, like that gender is a construct and that it's perfectly acceptable to be yourself and that people aren't going to like you, but that's okay as long as you like you. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot that I like about being a parent, but there are a lot of things that I don't like about being a parent too, which is the second half of the question. There are moments where I honestly feel like I just can't anymore, when I am frustrated and trying to teach my kids a lesson, but they are just not listening or just not getting it. Alright, so we had to move over a little bit to be able to charge the camera because the camera can't hold a charge anymore because I need a new camera. Support me on Patreon. Okay, let's see. Am I still working on or looking into being a life coach? Yeah, I am. I just need to find the right time and find enough space to start building up a clientele, because that's the hardest part, and right now I don't have any space in my life or time to commit to building a clientele. And I can't have a clientele and I can't not have a clientele and be a life coach. But I've completed the training and I'm ready. I'm just not in a place that I can commit to doing it. These are probably all excuses though. And lastly, the most important question you will ever have anybody ask you: nuts or no nuts in banana bread? No nuts. I don't like nuts in my desserts. It's a bold statement, but I have to be the one to make it. Anyway, if you missed my social media push for Q&A and you have a question you want to ask me, go ahead and do so in the comments. Or if you didn't miss it but want to ask me a question anyway, definitely do so. I will be more than happy to engage with you in the comment section of my videos, because that is my favorite thing to do on YouTube. And now I'm just going to gesture wildly for an amount of time that is unreasonable. I love doing this, and I have missed just talking to the camera. Alright friends, don't forget to support me on Patreon, because you're not actually supporting me, you're supporting two amazing women who are great at their jobs. Which I just realized is kind of like exclusive of me. But you know what? Seriously, they're great at what they do. I'm good at what I do. They're awesome at it. I think I'm okay with that. Alright, I'm gonna go now. It's been fun, and I will see you all soon. Alright, we'll see what happens later, because I don't know when I'm making another video. Alright, oh, except for August 1st, when I do Vlogust. Stay tuned. Alright, bye.